Ali, 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 yeah. I praise Allah for these lessons. I'm striving to be the message, and I thank Allah for his blessings. Ali was the circle 7. I praise Allah for these lessons. I'm striving to be the message, and I thank Allah for his blessings. Ali was the circle 7. I praise Allah for these lessons. I'm striving to be the message, and I thank Allah for his blessings. Ali was the circle 7. I praise Allah for these lessons. I'm striving to be the message, and I thank Allah for his blessings. Ali was the circle 7. I praise Allah for these lessons. I'm striving to be the message, and I thank Allah for his blessings. Ali was the circle 7. I praise Allah for these lessons. I'm striving to be the message, and I thank Allah for his blessings. Ali was the circle 7. Islam, 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 Moorish America. Want to rise upon the 7 within the circle of justice, mercy, love, and right, and give all praises to the great God Allah, Father God Allah, and honors to his holy prophet, honors to our holy prophet, Noble Drew Ali, Al-Hajj Sharif Abdul Ali, that is. We give honors to our Moorish kin once again, here, there, and everywhere, and therefore honors to all of you who are continuously honoring yourselves by being yourselves. We give honors to our Grand National Seal. We give honors to our Grand National Emblem, National Flag, Divine Constitution and Bylaws, and honors to all of you who are indeed a living manifestation and personification of everything that our Holy Prophet brought to make us a nation. We want to welcome you to, a live screen that we're demonstrating right now. And this is a powerful measure that we had to bring forth. And we most definitely want to make sure that our family is able to tune in. This is very important, what we had to bring to the manifest. Be sure to get the likes up, share, and subscribe if you haven't already demonstrated this. All is well. Reach out to our people. Reach out to our people and make sure that they get this information, because this is a very important measure here. And this is an update on our young brother who passed form, not long ago, the young brother Julio Foolio, a rapper out of Jacksonville. And this is a very important draw in here, family, because all of these situations have to become teachable moments in order that the young generation that's coming behind those who are on the manifest now may be able to learn from these things. Now we already know that there are a lot of drawings, when it comes down to dealing with situations that take place. You see? And these situations that actually take place, they actually are spontaneous in some cases, and certain things happen because they happen, and certain things happen because people make them happen. And it's 3 types of people in this world: those who make things happen, those who watch things happen, and those who wonder why they happen. You see? So there were many who were wondering why these things happen, some who know why they happen, and many who watch, these things happen. But at the end of the day, the way this thing is set up, in the end, nobody wins. So I want to give honors to both of the young brothers, that they said uh, to be rivals to each other, and both of these brothers are talented brothers. And we are not by any means implicating that particular brother has something to do with it. The other artists, we know that those who they mentioned that were affiliated were part of that same crew, but that doesn't mean necessarily that he had a direct hand in it. It could have been a spontaneous situation, and that's how we gonna look at it. Because we ain't trying to indict that young brother, for this situation, in spite of the rumors and everything it is that we heard that has taken place up to this special point. Um, we basically want to make sure that our people get some insight out of this. So when it come down to dealing with the insight, in other words, we want to learn from this, and we hopefully this inspire, all of our people at every level. Whether it be those who are in the streets, those who aspire to be in the streets, and those who have left the streets. This is a wake up call for all of us. And so we want to bring our family up the pace. And we do this, also in respect of the young brother's family. Condolences go out to, those who are living amongst his siblings. Condolences go out to all of the others who are also struck as a result of what took place. But nevertheless, it's a bad situation at the end of the day. And we got to clean this up by teaching the people. Now, if you look here, I have a backdrop. And this backdrop, I created a little while ago. I want you to see exactly what it says. So I'm gonna share the screen real quick. Let me see here. And once I present this screen, I'm gonna just hit entire screen. That way I can get everything in here, because I got to utilize it anyway. That way I don't have to come back out of here. So I'm gonna show you this backdrop before I get into this measure. If you see that right there in the backdrop, right? Notice that it states, the hate you gave left infants fatherless, enraged. The hate you gave left infants fatherless, enraged. And our brother Tupac said it a different way. But both of the breakdowns, acronymically, is thug life. The hate you gave left infants fatherless, enraged. Prophet Noble Drew Ali told us that we must teach our people, how to love instead of hate. And this has been one of the milestones that we have not been able to attain along the way. There's a lot of hatred, out there when it comes to dealing with the community and things that have taken place. It's a sad situation that this hate has become hereditary and passed down, so much so to where soldiers are annihilating soldiers. I used to say this when I was a little younger, if we take each other off the count, then who gonna be able to stand up in the field when it's really time to get down? When that drawing of Armageddon come to the manifest, so to speak. And I use that for the lack of better words, not to be super religious. Y'all know what I'm getting at. One thing I realized is that we can all bleed. You know, all of us have a potential to harm or be harmed. We seen it when it comes to the toughest of the toughest and the roughest of the roughest, and it always ends the same way. Now, if we go back to our ancestors, we always been a tribal people. But the difference is that our people had a lot of direction in the homeland as far as the direction that they were moving in to a certain degree. They was fighting for land and freedom and liberation. And, if somebody tried to oppress them, then they stood up. And it's the opposite way now, because this new generation have become the oppressors of each other. You see? And they are seeking to overthrow each other. And this is a result of the hate that has been given to these young brothers that are fatherless and enraged. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and share this content with the video so y'all can see what happened, what went on. And I do not own the content of this video, but this is for the public. This is news. So I'm pretty sure they don't mind it being used. They want the message to get out there, but I want y'all to see this. So pay attention.
Hillsborough State Attorney Susie Lopez to announce the arrest of three people in the deadly shooting of Charles Jones, also known by his stage name of Julio Foolio. In addition, we have warrants and are actively searching for 2 other individuals in this case. Today's announcement would not be possible without the outstanding investigative work of our homicide detectives and with the assistance of the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office and the ATF. These individuals took extreme measures to try to cover their actions, but they were no match for our investigators. Isaiah Chance, Elisa Andrews, Sean Gaithright, Davion Murphy, and Rashard Murphy are all accused of playing a role in Jones's death and are all charged with 1 count of murder in the first degree, premeditated with the discharge of a firearm, and 1 count of conspiracy of murder in the first degree, premeditated with the discharge of a firearm. Chance, Andrews, and Gaithright were arrested over the weekend in Jacksonville. Davion Murphy and Rashard Murphy are still fugitives of justice, and we are working closely with the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office and the U.S. Marshals to apprehend them. On June 23rd, Tampa police officers responded to a shooting on McKinley Drive and located 4 victims. 1 person, later identified as Charles Jones, was pronounced deceased. Jones was in town celebrating his birthday and posted on his social media his locations several times throughout that night. Surveillance video was critical in this investigation, as suspects were seen on video following Jones from location to location. This shows the links that these individuals...
I want to make sure y'all heard that now. Now y'all see that they actually had surveillance that was able to track these individuals from one location to the next as they was following this brother. So that's the first lesson to be learned, and things that need to be paid attention to. They was able to track them from location to location. That means everywhere he was, they honed in on it and they tracked them. They're going to show you how they tracked them too. Watch this.
Were willing to go through and achieve that this murder would occur. At 4:15 in the morning, Jones began to head to a hotel on McKinley. One of the suspect vehicles is seen following the victim. However, instead of following them into a parking lot, they stage across the street. At 4:38, 3 shooters exit a vehicle and walked in the direction of the hotel. they murdered Jones with a handgun and 2 rifles. This barrage of gunfire also struck 3 additional victims who miraculously survived this incident. Let's look at this video. This is at the hotel, and you can see the shooters are getting in position for their planned out murder.
Now look at the clarity on this video. And that was the young brother's Charger that was sitting there, you know, up under the little overcast at the Holiday Inn or whatever that motel was he was at, you know, hotel, you know, Days Inn, you know, I forgot which one it is, but I think it was a Holiday Inn. But nevertheless, you can see them creeping through there. They got all of this on surveillance, people. And I was saying, when I first seen this, and I heard them shots ringing out, because we got that in the first video, the shots that was actually ringing out. You know, I said, man, it's a lot of hatred coming from behind that assault rifle. You know what I mean? Like, you can literally, not even seeing it, the way that they were shooting, you can tell that this was a lot of hatred. You know, like they meant to do what they came to do, basically. You know what I mean? So it was 3 shooters now to get this young brother. 3 of them. You know, 2 of them had assault rifles and 1 of them had a pistol. And the pistol, you can tell by the sound of it, had a probably extended clip and a what they call a switch on it, in order that you can have more rapid fire. But when you look at the vehicle that the young brother was in, you can see bullet holes all through the windshield. It was 4 people in the car, but he the only one that actually died. Passed form par himself. You know, so let me let it go forward, because they finna show you exactly what happened. Now remember, they caught these guys by tags. They was able to track their tag number. They thought that they were moving, you know, low key. But this technology is something else, people. You see what I'm saying? So this is it right here. That's 1. That's 2.
And they are shooting at Charles now. And you can see that he's the passenger in that car that's moving and trying to flee.
So they started shooting while he was under that deck right there.
And again, they're
He
still
pulled
shooting
out.
at him.
They were
He's
still
the right
shooting,
front
and that's when he
passenger in
most
that
likely
vehicle.
got hit. And if you pay attention, you see the first. Let me run this back.
Shooters are getting in
You
position
see
for their
him going
planned
over
out
here
murder.
again, creeping around. You know, now you're gonna see the first one run by. See the one run there, then it's one there. But it's
And they are
another one
shooting
over
at
there.
Charles now. And you can see
So he
that
had
he's the
3 people
passenger
on.
in that car that's moving and trying to flee.
So they started shooting at him when he was here. And so he came toward
And
him.
again, they're still
You can
shooting
see
at
the
him. He's the
bullets
right front
coming out.
passenger
See
in
the
that
one over there
vehicle.
was shooting at him too? And they're going to show a close-up too. And that's what I heard, this particular thing here, right here. When I say I heard, look at that. You know what I mean?
It's
All
clear
that for
from
that
that
young
video
brother.
what they were set out to do and what they had
And
planned
they
to do.
followed that young brother from location to
The
location.
investigation would later reveal that the 3 armed shooters were Sean Gaithright, Richard Murphy, and Davion Murphy. Detectives used footage from the scene, license plate readers, and phone logs to identify 2 vehicles and link them back to the suspects.
You heard that? License plates readers and phone logs, and link them back. And now it's 2 of them that's there that they had in the situation. I guess they were saying that they were accomplices. I don't know if they were saying that they helped set it up some type of way or whatever the case may be, because the 2 rival groups are supposed to be from Jacksonville. But this happened in Tampa, you know, which was totally unexpected probably to that young brother, you know, before he got took off the count. You know, and unfortunately, you know, this is what the young brother signed up for. This is what all of them signed up for, you know, because a lot of them have been, prior to this, there have been many bodies that have dropped. And it has been a going back and forth, In fact, the other artist, that's uh, a part of the group, the other group, he was shot, and it was like four of them in the car, but three of them passed for him, and he was the only one that survived. So it was an opposite situation. The rapper survived on the other side, but the other three passed for him, his brothers included. You know what I mean? He watched them pass for him. So, and I showed y'all him in the last video. I just hate to see this young talent go to waste like this right here. And these young brothers, feel a need to take each other off the count. You see what I'm saying? Just other more statistics, so to speak. And that the people are never going to go into sympathizing and empathizing with why these young brothers are acting this way. But they're going to always make a reason to demonize these young brothers, in the whole community as a result of this. So now this creates a class of what we call criminals. We got to have balance. So we understand the law going to do what they do. That's their job, to execute, enforcement of the law. But on another level, the madness has to stop, because it brings condemnation down and, the wrath of the system down upon our people. And they know that a lot of this is coming as a result of poverty. That's the root of all of the evil. It's not money per se, it's the poverty that is the root of these particular situations that take place. Competition. One of the things that our chairman addressed in the Exhuming of a Nation, competition, games of competition. And it's become war games and gladiator games. I remember our beloved brother Tupac had the song Trading War Stories. And on that song, War Stories, he had everybody on there explaining what it is that they had been through. Honors to the brother Mutabil, a.k.a. Napoleon. A young brother that told his story. He was talking about how he was young and people ran up in his house and he was too young to blast back. And this was actually the situation where, because his parents was Muslims. And they were Hanafis, if I'm not mistaken, up there in New Jersey. And his mother and father was took off the count. And I want to say some of his siblings was even shot. And he survived. He was in the house. You see, I was given that history, by the brother Africa, one of my elders who was teaching me. He didn't know that that was Napoleon from the Outlaws. He just told me the story. And then when I said, man, these cats been talking about this stuff since I was a young seed. So that was a tragic situation for the young, but they was telling war stories and what they've been through. That's what music was originally. It was rhythm and poetry. You know what I mean? Rhythm and poetry. That's what RAP meant, rap. See, we got a lot of rhythm out there now, but we don't have a whole lot of poetry. And I give honors to KRS-One, for writing the gospel of hip hop, for the temple of hip hop, as he called it. And I encourage our family to really learn about the craft. It's nothing wrong with being competitive, but compete with yourself. Compete in all that which is good, like the Grand Quran say. Not to the extent that where you want to take each other off the count. So let me let this play on a little bit more.
Furthermore, it was found that the shooters are members of or affiliated with rival gangs of Jones that go by ATK and 1200. Jones was part of the 6 Block gang. Detectives believe that the ATK and the 1200 worked together to target Jones as part of an ongoing feud in Jacksonville. I want to send a clear message to anyone that the city of Tampa is not where you want to come to settle a dispute. You will be charged, you will be arrested, and you will be prosecuted to the fullest extent possible. Furthermore, if you're a gang member, there's no alleged immunity through a cone of silence, as our detectives will find evidence needed to make an arrest and hold everyone accountable, just as we did in this case. Then you will be prosecuted by our tenacious state attorney, Susie Lopez. Today would not be possible without the assistance of our law enforcement partners in Jacksonville, who collaborated with us and shared intelligence that helped us in this case. Their agency also assisted with many search warrants, locating and arresting these dangerous individuals. At this time, I would like to invite Jacksonville Sheriff T.K. Waters, followed by State Attorney Susie Lopez.
Thanks, Chief. So good afternoon. I'm T.K. Waters, Sheriff of Duval County, Jacksonville, Florida. Thank you, Chief Burkhall, for inviting me to stand with you as we announce these murder arrests. Today, 3 dangerous criminals are off our Florida streets and in police custody where they belong. These individuals have chosen lives of urban terrorism, and with their arrests, we show Tampa, Jacksonville.
You see that strong language that he used? Urban terrorism. Urban terrorism. So that means that they're going to try to charge these ones, on the terrorist acts, basically.
The rest of Florida, the rest of this state, and we hold violent criminals accountable. At the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office, we will always work together with our law enforcement partners to ensure that our communities are free of those who choose violence over peace. I want to applaud the investigators from Tampa PD and JSO for their committed collaborative work to bring violent criminals to justice. What I saw in this partnership evidenced the very best of information and resource pooling to ensure public safety. In closing, I want to directly speak to those who choose violence and those who embrace a culture that glorifies violence. Florida, Tampa, JSO, Jacksonville, Miami, wherever you are, will not tolerate foolishness, will not tolerate shootings and needless violence. We will not make excuses for poor decisions. We'll hold you accountable for your criminal actions. Florida is a state of law and order. Law enforcement agencies in this state will always work together to protect the good and decent people who chose to live within the law. And we will always work together to ferret out those who choose the lives of violent crime. Thank you.
Thank you, Sheriff. The ongoing fight between these two groups spilled over into Tampa last month. Let me be clear, the feud stops here. All 5 of these defendants are facing life in the Florida State Prison, even the ones who didn't pull the trigger. In Florida, if you participate in the planning of a murder, you can be held accountable for the person's death. And that is what we intend to do here. There were 3 people who pulled the trigger. You saw it on the video. 5 people, though, are charged with murder. The level of planning and coordination between these 5 defendants was truly alarming. It is clear that they all had one purpose in coming to Tampa, and that was to kill. And let's not lose sight of the fact that there are innocent victims in every homicide case, the loved ones who are left behind. His fans knew him as Julio Foolio, but to his mom, he's Charles. We're fighting to make sure that she gets justice. I was able to speak with her this morning before she got to Tampa, and she's in Tampa with us today. I wanted to let her know that my office takes gun violence very seriously. And I let her know that these 5 defendants will be held accountable for their calculated actions. The defendants are in custody, 3 of them in Jacksonville, and will be moved here to appear in court. My office will file a motion for pretrial detention to ensure that these dangerous individuals are held behind bars as they await trial, where they belong. I want to commend the Tampa Police Department for this investigation, as well as our collaboration with JSO. The TPD investigation developed a mountain of evidence, and we will work hard to ensure that justice is served for all victims in this case. Thank you very much.
have some time for questions.
Sure, it looked like a scene from the movie, man. Speak on the level of.
Well, you can see the language that they use in there, and they ain't playing with these people. So it's sad that no more than what we can see here is probably, let's see, from 3 to maybe a minute, and some change, or 2 minutes. 2 minutes, making the wrong decision, has a potential to either have the life of these particular ones taken in response, as a result of solving this issue, or, spending their lives anyway, which is taken as well. But I think Florida still got the death penalty, if I ain't mistaken. But, nevertheless, if not, even going away from home, for a life sentence, even more than that, because that is also a form of death. You're being sentenced, to live the duration of your life basically buried alive. Unfortunate. You know what I mean? And unfortunately, it didn't take but the same amount of time for that young brother to lose his life. Just that quick. 1 minute, you on the manifesto, like UGK used to say, one day you're here and then you're gone. The next day you're gone. You see, but yeah, when we was coming up and we would hear war stories, we heard people talking about what it is they came through, what their struggle was. Now the war stories that we hear, our young brothers going back and forth with each other. And this is not just a situation in Florida. This is going on all over the country. Unfortunately, we have seen a lot of young talent, be lost to senseless violence, so to speak. From our brother, the late, great young brother Nipsey Hussle, to the brother Mo 3, to the brother Young Dolph, to the brother Bankroll Fresh, to the brother Trouble out there in Atlanta. We can go on and on and on and on with it. And the greats that came before them. It's a dangerous thing to be an artist now, because you have to really live what it is that you speak. Let, the industry tell it, and the young generation. So I see this becoming an issue to where, the industry as a whole, when it comes to the genre of what we call rap music, being demonized as a result of this. You see, being a rapper at this time now is no different than standing on the corner. Because the way things are going, when you go out there to make your money and do shows and all that right there, me as an aspiring artist, I still mess around with the music a little bit. I try to use it to try to reach out people and give them a message where they normally wouldn't come and listen to a lecture or listen to a video or something, So I try to teach through that form as well. I always wanted to use my music to teach. That's the difference between the present generation and the past generation. They had social commentary in a lot of the records they brought forth, and a lot of people thought that was harsh. They thought that was hardcore. And all they was doing is explaining the hate that was given to them. You see, back in the day, you could make a record and it be hypothetical, so to speak, and you ain't out there necessarily taking nobody's head, but you can make references and nobody went to do background checks, to try to see if you was really living like that, And so it's a lot of artists that told stories and you would think they was out there in it, but they wasn't in it like that. It's no different than watching a movie, so to speak. These people were in character. They was enjoying the craft, and some people really come from that struggle. Most of our people do. And that's one thing our people have to stop doing, taunting brothers when they come up out of that stuff to change their lives. Because people change their lives for a reason. But just because they change their lives don't mean that they are not still cut from that cloth. So when they end up doing things, that are out of character, so to speak, or the unthinkable, everybody go to, oh, he dumb, he crazy. But that's what y'all wanted to see, though. Y'all wanted to see this violence take place. Many of our people wanted to see it come to this. You hear people all the time, I ain't seen nobody die yet. And so, and then when it happened, they call them dummies and fools and, all types of stuff, But it's gotten now to the extent now to where the youngins will take you off the counter and they gloat over the kill, so to speak. And this is why it's so bad. And it ain't going to get no greater until we have someone that is able to be respected and also be respectable, when trying to reach out to these young brothers. The worst is yet to come, most definitely. So it's up to us who have a knowledge of self to get out here on the front line with this truth and try with might and main to guide these young brothers and sisters aright. So let's let this play out real quick.
It's extensive, and the state attorney spoke about it, how the mountain of evidence, this would not be possible if it wasn't for our hardworking detectives in getting evidence from videos, tag readers, and cell phones. This amount of work I have not seen before, and it would not be possible if it wasn't through our detectives and through us working collaboratively together with the JSO and the ATF and the U.S. Marshals.
Chief, that your presentation today is led by a member in the hour that was shooting who they submitted to his brother surveillance. I'm just curious if that factor means the investigation and possibly.
So our investigation is still ongoing. And Sheriff, if you have any other details that you want to speak onto that.
So Young and Ace has long been known in Jacksonville. We are consistently monitoring those groups. We have people that are always watching them. I won't speak to the chief's investigation. That's up to TPD. We don't have an investigation on him right now, but he can't move around in Jacksonville without us knowing about it. And that's for the betterment of our community.
Any words to those suspects that you are out there looking for that obviously still know that y'all are reporting?
We're pretty confident they already know, and to turn yourselves in so we can have this resolved peacefully. And of course, to anybody out there that knows where they're at, to let us know so we can get them in custody and hold them accountable.
Chief, we've seen gang violence here in the city of Tampa, and now there are 2 more cities. What's the department doing with that?
Right now, look at what we're doing right now. We're bringing to justice 5 people in a murder in a case that is very difficult to make an arrest. It's us working collaboratively with the community, with Jacksonville. And if this doesn't make a statement, I don't know what does.
Second question, that area where it happened, where we're starting to assess sequel incidents just this month, what do you guys think you can do to ensure that students are safe for visiting that area?
Absolutely. We have officers everywhere. There's particular places in there that we actually are holding accountable for businesses that are allowing this type of activity that we're actually bringing up to a public nuisance abatement. So we are attacking this on all fronts. Well, if you look at that, this is something that you would originally think you would see in a movie, but this isn't a movie. This is real life, and these are people's lives. And that's something that we can't forget is no matter who they are, these are people's lives that are at stake, whether they're innocent or not, and we can't lose sight of that.
There you have it, family. Y'all see what it is. And again, this is our young seeds, going at
additional victims who miraculously survived.
Again, This is exactly what happened.
And you can see the shooters.
This the young brother right here now.
This is
There.
at the hotel.
He pulls out, and they immediately
And
start
you
gunning
can
at
see
him.
the shooters
Terrible situation.
are getting in position for their
See how
planned
all of
out
them
murder.
looking? Sad situation, man.
And they are shooting at Charles now. And you can see that he's the passenger in that car that's moving and trying to flee.
It would have probably been better if they would have
And
backed
again,
up instead of going toward, that direction in which the shooters were. You know what I mean?
they're still shooting at him. He's the right front passenger in that vehicle.
Terrible.
It's clear from that video what they were set out to do and what they had planned to do. The investigation would later reveal that the three.
So, I ain't going to keep going back and forth with it. But, this is what is going on out here now in these streets. So, y'all make sure y'all protect y'all young ones and educate them and uplift them. Guide them right, and all will be well if it be the will of the great God. So we just got to do better as a people. We got to stop looking at each other as the enemy. We got to stop looking at each other as the adversary, and learn how to embrace each other instead of seeing each other as trophies, so to speak. So hopefully those who are in this young generation can see this. And me personally, I don't care about all the tough talk that the police are doing right there, talking about they gonna do this and they gonna do that. That ain't gonna stop that war with them young brothers and stuff. It's unfortunate. It's gonna keep going on because, most definitely those who are rocking with that brother that lost his life, they definitely gonna retaliate because that's the mentality. You know what I mean? It will be his family members, maybe cousins or brothers and all this type of stuff, just like it was probably relatives of some of those people that had passed for him that took participation in this event against him. And that's why it continues to go on, because you take somebody's brother off the count, and they got a brother that's still living there, and quite naturally that brother is going to look for or seek out retaliation. It ain't even about the block or the street, so to speak. That's just collateral, expression. When they get to talking about ATK and 1200 and all that, it's really boiling down to family members, being enraged about the loss of their family members, being enraged that, they auntie had to cry, their mama had to cry, and then you still got the people that's supposed to be from what is considered quote unquote the other side running around and they gloating over the kill. So yeah, we got to get them. And then it just keep going back and forth. Like our brother Malcolm said, and it wasn't in this application, but it fits this narrative better. We trapped in a vicious cycle. You see what I'm saying? And this is a vicious cycle of death and destruction. Unfortunate. It's hard to tell somebody that lost their brother not to retaliate. Let's just be real about it. Not to retaliate. It's hard to tell someone that has lost their cousin, their uncle and nephew or whatever. We can say what we say, but if you deal with reality, you already know what come behind a lot of that stuff. And that's why you see so much violence in places like Chicago, LA, where you have what they like to call, quote unquote, the mecca of gang culture. Too much has been done and too much is still being done in order for ones to turn back. So we live in a society or environment in this new era in time where killers are bred. Unfortunately, it's now a badge of honor to take your brother off the count. We have lost our sense of morality. We have lost our sense of sensitivity when it comes to dealing with love for each other. So, you see it, they'll crush each other, man, like they ain't nothing but insects. Or rather, we would crush each other like with nothing but insects. Heartless, bloodthirsty. And then we wonder why there's so much wrath that's been brought upon us. It has been said, my people are destroyed for a lack of knowledge. But there's plenty of knowledge out here. We in the age of information. And it states, if you go on, it says, since you have rejected knowledge, I will reject you and your seed after you. So it's on the prior generation to lay the foundation for those who are coming behind them, in order to ensure that they be successful. So that being said, family, I just want to say, keep your head on the swivel, and rest in peace to the young brother. And I pray that there is a stop in this cycle of violence and destruction in regards to dealing with our people. So y'all stay tuned and keep your ears to the ground. So we say gratitude, Islamism without the schism, and I'm gonna go ahead and end this live now. But make sure y'all share it, like it, love it, and subscribe if you haven't already. We're gonna keep making reports on current events like this as well, and addressing these things, because we must not be silent as these things occur within our community. So Islamism, salvation, our God, unity, Uncle Ajet Sanel, life, health, and prosperity be upon you all. And at this time, Shimotep.